video is a little bit different. It's not the normal vlog. Today I'm sharing with you my symptoms during my 2-week wait. And this is a little different because this is a 2-week wait that led to a big fat negative. I know there are so many women out there who go through this and are trying to figure out, okay, why am I not pregnant? Because I just knew I was. I had all these symptoms and I still am not pregnant. And the thing about that is most women who are sexually active and not planning to get pregnant, but they're sexually active unprotected, they might go through these things, but because they're not actively trying to get pregnant, like they don't even pay attention to the symptoms, and then their period comes, so you know they don't even think about it. And this is something that's normal. My doctor has even mentioned that, you know, like so many women go through this, but they don't know because their period comes and they're not trying to conceive, so therefore they're not putting two and two together. Whereas in our case, because we are on that journey trying to conceive, we are noticing these symptoms, and of course in the back of our heads we're kind of like, okay, what does this mean? This is not normal. Am I pregnant? Like, I must be pregnant. So I'm going to share with you the symptoms that I had. Of course, we're all different, so what I have might not be what you have, but the symptoms that I'm sharing with you are those that are not normal for that time period in my cycle. So I'm not just going to share stuff with you that are normal or things that just happen. I'm only going to share those things that happen throughout that 2-week wait that normally wouldn't happen during that time of my cycle. So for the IUI that you just saw me go through the negative pregnancy test, I did that in July, on July 21st and 22nd. So that was a Saturday and Sunday. I did 2 inseminations. First one I inseminated was Saturday night, and then the next one was Sunday afternoon. And by the way, today is September 18th, so this is actually up to date. You'll see this on Wednesday, September 19th. So I'm also going to address some of the comments and suggestions that you guys have been leaving me at the end of this video as well, because I know that my videos are like a month behind. So at least you would get some like feedback that's more current for this. So like I said, I did the insemination on July 21st and 22nd, which was a Saturday and Sunday. The first set of symptoms that I felt started on that Wednesday. Before that, I know that was my right side that I ovulated on, because whenever I ovulate on my right, I can feel it. I don't feel it on my left. But when I ovulate on my right side, I can actually feel when I'm ovulating. I can feel the egg traveling down my fallopian tube. And then I also felt the implantation. So the very first symptom that I felt was the implantation. And that pain is different than the egg traveling through the fallopian tube. The placement of it is different. It's more centered in the uterus than it is in, of course, the fallopian tube. And it's like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like being stuck with a pin, but it's like a nagging feeling, like you're just constantly being stuck with pins in your uterus. So I knew exactly when it happened, like what day it was. The moment it happened, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, it just happened. It just went down. So that Wednesday, the first symptoms that I had were acne. Big old bumps. It came out of nowhere. My skin had just started to clear up, and then it was like, bam, big old breakout. I do have cyclical acne. Did I just make up a word? Is it cyclical? Whatever. So I normally, and this is not even normal, every now and again I will get a pimple, 1 or 2, like the day or 2 days before my period starts. And here we're talking about a week and a half before my period started, and it was just like, what's going on with my face? Tender breast, and it was around the outer rim of my boob and my nipples. That was really the only parts that were hurting. They did not start to swell yet, but it was like my nipples, my baby cat, my kitten. Well, he's not a kitten anymore. He's my baby cat because he's the smallest one. He like brushed against my nipple, and I just about died, and I was just like, oh my gosh. Okay, something's going on. And then just around like where the lymph nodes are, it was a little tender where if anything touched it, I just wanted to scream. And that's not normal. Like, even when I have my period, when I'm not doing insemination, my boobs don't hurt at all. Like, they don't go through any change around that time. So that's how I know like something was different then. I also started to get the white creamy discharge. And yes, that is a normal discharge for just your cycle. But it was a little bit more in quantity. And it was earlier. Normally I get that like 3 days before my cycle starts. Again, not a week and a half. So the next day was pretty much the same thing. Thursday, tender breast, the same discharge. But that was when like my energy just started to just fall. I had been doing projects around the house and I was just like, I don't feel like doing anything. Like, I don't have the energy to move. Moving on to the next day, I started to get severe migraines. I do suffer from migraines. However, I only get migraines, and this is not even every month, the first day of my period or the last day, like the day before the last day of my period, because I'm always like, oh, I have a migraine, my period's going to end tomorrow. That's the only time I ever get a migraine. Like, I never get migraines any other time. And like I said, I don't even get them every month. And here I was getting a migraine a week and a half before, or a week before my period was supposed to be here. So I knew something was up with that. I started feeling bloating, and my breasts were still tender. I was still having cramps. Moving on to that weekend, so now we're a week after insemination, I started having lower back pain out of nowhere. Now, if you've been following me this whole time, then you know that I suffered earlier this spring, even on to last year, with upper back pain and neck pain from stress. That's gone. So here I was with this lower back pain that I just could not figure out. I couldn't describe it. I didn't understand it. I never had it before. And I was just like, okay, that's different. That is definitely a symptom, an early symptom of pregnancy. And I also started having allergy attacks to I don't know what. And that goes along with, like, earlier in one of my vlogs, I was saying how my body's rejecting it. Where it's almost like my body feels that it's a foreign substance, which it is. And therefore it's trying to get rid of it. And I've noticed that with the last 3 inseminations, how it's like as soon as I do the insemination, I start having allergic reactions. So I don't know if it's the syringe, I don't know if it's the sperm, I don't know what it is. But I was joking with my mom, I was like, the next time I'm going to take some allergy medicine and see what happens. So we shall see. But yeah, I started having allergic reactions to something, I don't know what it was. And it's not, I'm a seasonal allergy person, it's not the spring. It wasn't the fall, so it was like no reason for me to start to have allergies. So that was something that was different. I also started to feel sick, like my throat and everything. Still having a cramp, still having a headache. So now we are like 4 days deep with this headache. Still having a tender breast. Energy just keeps going down. Feeling bloated now. And then my skin cleared up. And now we're getting closer to when my period's supposed to start, and my skin is now looking beautiful, like it was glowing for real. I'm still having the creamy discharge, and then moving on to Monday of the next week, still had the cramps, still another day with that migraine, tender breast, bloated, started getting gassy, skin still looks good, discharge still there. And then I started with the shortness of breath, and then also still having that lower back pain. And I did look up, the shortness of breath is another symptom of early pregnancy. The last day that I documented anything was on Tuesday the 31st, and I was still having lower back pain, the cramps, the headache, tender breast, no energy, bloated, gassy. Still having an allergic reaction to whatever it was, and my discharge was still creamy. So with that, my period actually started early. Period came on, what was it, Friday. as you've seen in 2 vlogs before this. So on that Tuesday, I just was like, I'm not going to keep documenting this. And I've said this kind of before. I don't know if I said this in a vlog or what I said this in. But it's like I can almost feel when... How do I say this? I can almost feel when the implantation stops, or when the embryo starts to dissolve or die off. And I remember I was writing for my blog and I was like, I feel a disconnect. So like after that, I was just like, I'm not going to keep documenting these symptoms, because every time I say that I feel that disconnect. So by that Tuesday, I was kind of like, yeah, it's not sticking. It didn't stick. And I wanted to get out of that place. So I was just like, I'm not going to even think about it for the rest of the week. And then my period came that Friday. As far as, because 2 people mentioned this about my uterus and the lining, that was a question I had myself. Back after my March IUI, I was kind of like, okay, well, what's going on? Because my blood work looks good, my health is good, you know, everything else you're telling me is good, is perfect, is this. My levels are all where they should be, like right where they should be. And I had that hysteroscopy last July, right before my first IUI. And I even blamed my miscarriage on that. I was like, I had that hysteroscopy like a week before I had my IUI. That's why I had the miscarriage. And I was just like, I wonder if, because one of the drawbacks of the hysteroscopy is that it could leave you with a hole in your uterus. And I was worried about that, because I'm like, nothing's working, it's not sticking, I'm not being successful. Meanwhile, y'all keep telling me, y'all being a doctor, keep telling me everything's fine. So after I did not have a successful IUI in March, I called my doctor and I was like, can we do a HSG again? And that is a dye test that they do, really just to make sure that your flow between your ovaries to your fallopian tube to your uterus is great, but it also shows you your whole uterus and it shows you the lining. And I did that, and I was on that bed because I'm just like, I know I have a hole in my uterus. I know I do, and you should never want to negative things, but at that point I was desperate to find a reason why. And we did that, and I'm looking at the screen like, my uterus looks perfect. Like, it looks perfect. And that's when my doctor was like, okay, because at first he kept saying, oh, it's not your age, it's not your age. And I'm like, dude, I'm 38. Like, it could definitely be my age. And that's when he was like, okay, like, it might be your age. Like, you've tested great for everything else. Like, nothing's come up with any problems. So it could be your egg quality. Meaning that, yes, your eggs are becoming fertilized. Yes, some of them are implanting, but they are not strong enough to sustain a pregnancy. So that's why I keep saying that about that. So yes, I have checked. Every time I went to the doctor, they did an ultrasound and checked my lining to make sure even that the fluids were at the right level and everything for that. I've done every test that there are for fertility. The only test that I haven't done is to actually check my egg quality. And I asked my last doctor about that, and he kind of like brushed it off like, that's not something you can do. But yeah, I did research and it is something you can do. I know it's probably out of my price range, and that could be why he said that, because my insurance won't cover any of it. But I know that they do that for women who are doing IVF. So I know that is something out there. So I just wanted y'all to understand, like, we've been checked. I've been checked. And I'm left with this, I don't know, it could be the egg quality, it could just be, it's not my time, or it hasn't been my time. So that's for that. And as far as using like a known donor, I'm still not sure about that. Like, I don't know. Like, I know there's contracts and everything where that person could still not be a part of their lives, but then it's kind of like, well, if I know you, then I would want you to be a part of their lives. So it's more involved with that than I'm ready to deal with. Like, it's already enough stress doing it the way that I'm doing it, and I just think that that would add more stress to it and more things to think about and consider. So I'm not saying no, but right now at this time I don't want to do a known donor. Like, that was initially the first thing that I wanted to do, was to use a known donor. I had several male friends who were like, yeah, if you're not married by the time you're 35, then let's go. And they're gay, so it wasn't going to be sexual, so don't worry about that. But yeah, so I've had a lot of friends who were willing to be a donor, but then it was kind of like, I don't want to co-parent. And like, yes, I do think it's important to have two parents, but that's if the relationship is a positive relationship only. And co-parenting, I'm not saying that it's negative, but it creates a lot of tension and just a lot of compromising. And I can be selfish at times, and in this case, I wanted to be selfish, and it was just like, yeah, I don't want to have to battle with custody and beliefs and, you know, just different beliefs and different values. Whereas when you're married with somebody, you should go through all that stuff and be on one accord with your beliefs and your values. So that's not something that you would be arguing about or, you know, having to consider. So I have looked at known donors, and I decided not to do that. Will I ever go back to it? I don't know. It is becoming quite expensive for me to keep buying sperm over and over again. But right now I'm just not there. So I think I've covered most of the comments that I've gotten. But I do want to thank everybody for their support. And make sure you check back on Sunday for the next vlog. And I'll see you guys later. Bye. Love you.